man who I'm going to put in charge of revitalizing the economy because, he knows how to do it.
It is just insane what's going on. She's like a job-killing machine.
I'm for Hillary Clinton, but she's for all of us. So keep on booing and boo yourselves out of this election.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome to the revolution.
We burning down the night, shooting bullets at the moon, baby. This is how we roll.
Sean Hannity. The new Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America. Coming up next, our final news roundup and information overload hour.
What about the entire lead of the piece where it says you had barely met when he asked you to change out of your clothes? The article quotes you, actually says, he took me into a room, opened drawers, and asked me to put on a swimsuit. That is a direct quote, is it not?
No, it is not. What I said was what I would say to anybody when they ask me how I met Donald Trump would be at a pool party at Mar-a-Lago. You're going to get the story, what they say continue, that I went to a pool party there with my agency, and Donald and I struck up a conversation. It was a very good conversation. We were walking around talking. He started showing me different parts of the Mar-a-Lago from the entrance. We started discussing architecture. We walked further inside, and I would ask questions. He would answer. He would show me things. We were just having a really great conversation, and we got to a point of the mansion where he had asked me if I brought a swimsuit because we were about to go back and join everybody outside. There were models swimming and that. I had a photo shoot that day and one the following day, so I didn't bring a swimsuit to go swimming at the party. He asked me if I had one, and I said I did not, that I really hadn't intended on swimming. And he said, well, I have some. And that's when he opened the drawer and pulled some out and said, do you want to put one on? I said, sure. And I went into the bathroom and changed into one and came out, and we joined everyone at the party. And when we went out there, he said, wow, now that's a stunning Trump girl. And I was flattered by that. I didn't feel, and one thing I don't like too is, some of the anchors are starting to use the language of the times. They're starting to say paraded her out there, and and that's ugly. That's negative to me. He didn't parade me anywhere.
All right, that was Roanne Brewer Lane, and she was featured prominently in this New York Times hit piece that said, Crossing the Line, How Donald Trump Behaved with Women in Private. Not only that, we interviewed her yesterday. We interviewed Sanada Azom. And joining us now, somebody else that was mentioned in the piece, you might remember her, Carrie Prejean is with us, and she was 21 years old when she participated in the Miss USA contest. She was Miss California, and she's become a friend over the years. We've interviewed her many times. Carrie, how are you?
Hi, Sean. Good to be with you. Good.
What's happened? So you told the story in your book, and now didn't the New York Times reach out to you and you said you had nothing negative to say about Mr. Trump?
Well, back in March, when they started this whole campaign against him, there were several reporters that had reached out to me telling me that they were doing an interview about Trump and women and how he treats women. And I told them, I'm not going to be doing an interview at this time. I said, I'm not interested. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I started a business. I'm not interested. And I said, and by the way, I have nothing bad to say about him. So go get it from someone else. And so what did they do? They quoted something from my book. And what upsets me is they say in this article in the New York Times, they say the New York Times interviewed dozens of women who had worked with or for Mr. Trump. And so it made it seem like they interviewed me recently, which that's not true. So they're lying. And I just came on to clear the air.
Yeah. Now, in your book, you did tell one story where Mr. Trump, I guess he was running the whole Miss USA contest at the time, right? So it's not like he was there in and of his own volition.
Right. He was the owner of the Miss Universe organization. He owned the beauty pageant. I mean, let's be clear here. This is a beauty contest.
Right.
It's a beauty contest. It's everything.
By the way, which I could never participate in. You don't want to see me in a bikini and in a nightgown. It wouldn't look good, or high heels.
Yeah, I mean, this is comical. I mean, they took a little tiny thing from my book and they twisted it. And if they would have actually read on, I talk very highly of Mr. Trump. I don't say anything negative about him. And you know what? It was a beauty contest, and we were all excited to meet him at the time. And I was putting in context what goes on behind the scenes of a beauty pageant. I was not saying anything negative about him. And they should have wrote that in the article, and they didn't. And that's why I'm coming out and speaking out on your program, because that upsets me, and they're not going to put words in my mouth and make it seem like I don't like Donald Trump and I think that he's, degrades women. He does not. He gives women amazing opportunities, and I was one of those women who he helped.
When you say read on, what was your experience like with Mr. Trump at the time? I mean, you were put in the hot spot very early on in your life, and I remember the controversy well, and that's when I first got to know you.
Right.
And I thought you handled it all with a lot of grace, and I thought it was very tough for you, and you stood your ground, and you didn't back down, and you took a lot of heat from a pretty liberal media. But so these are beauty contests. I understand. Yeah. We all understand what a beauty contest is and what it involves. There's a swimsuit section, there's the nightgown section, there's the talent section. So
I mean, we know no section for they don't have a place for a woman to have a brain, I guess. So
yeah, you have to think a certain way, Carrie. I mean, otherwise, you're not able to compete or participate according to some of the judges. But
right.
So what was it like? You're 21 years old. Mm-hmm. Were beauty pageants good for you as you look back now at this point in your life? I know you're married. I know you have two wonderful kids.
I mean, it's been 7 years, and what it really taught me, Sean, was I spoke from my heart, and I gave an honest answer. I was given a question. It shouldn't have been asked, and I was given a question, and I gave an honest answer, and I stand by that still to this day. I have no regrets. And Donald Trump was the only one, along with you and several other people, who really had my back. Donald Trump had my back. He had given me so many opportunities after the pageant was over. He held a huge press conference saying that I would remain Miss California, and he had my back. And he told me, whatever you want to do in life, I'm gonna help, you get to where you want to be in life. And I thought that was very, very, honorable of him to do that. He didn't need to help me, and he didn't need to, stick up for me the way that he did. And he gave me so many opportunities, and he let me write my book. That was one of the things that was going on that I said, that's the only thing that I want to do, Mr. Trump, is to be able to tell my story and share with the world what really happened. And he let that happen for me. And so I honestly, I owe everything to him, because if it wasn't for him, I would have never had my story been told. And it just would have been what everybody hears from the left-wing media, which is mostly lies.
Let me ask this. I mean, it sounds like you're very active in politics and paying attention to all this, and it really is painful when you're taken out of context like this.
Oh, yeah.
And you're describing somebody who was a friend to you at a time where maybe a lot of people weren't friendly to you.
Yeah.
I think that's when it matters the most in life. Are you going to vote for him? Are you supporting him?
Well, I mean, honestly, Sean, he really, I mean, let's be honest. He's a Republican nominee. We have to support him. I mean, he is going to do so many things for this country. I mean, he was my boss at a time, when I was Miss California, and he didn't need to help me, this, beauty queen who, he didn't need to do that for me, and he did, because he cares about people. He has a heart. That's why I wanted to come on your show to clear the air, because the New York Times really did, they tried to make it seem like I have this bad taste in my mouth for Donald Trump. Well, you know what? He helped me. He helped a lot of women. And you know what? I'm the only one out of thousands of women. There's thousands of women that have competed over the years in the Miss Universe organization and in Miss USA. Where are those women at? Where are all the women at who he's helped? You know why? Everyone is so worried about being politically correct. That's why they don't want to speak up and stand up. But you know what? I'm tired of that. And I'm proud of him. I'm proud that he speaks his mind, and that he says a lot of things what a lot of people are too scared to say. And yes, I do support him.
Yeah. You're describing it's so amazing. And this is the thing about this piece, Carrie. You read this piece, they create an image now of somebody that is just the direct opposite of what you are describing. And you're not the first person here to repudiate this article. I mean, as I mentioned, it was Roanne Brewer Lane, and said they purposefully took out of context how I felt and what I said about Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did here.
It was Sonata Azom, who I had on yesterday. She said she never worked with a more amazing guy who gave her opportunity. She came from war-torn Bosnia and became one of the top real estate sellers and a vice president of one of his companies. And even the one person that I watched being interviewed last night, Barbara Rez, she was a little negative, but it was like so mild. Oh, you like candy? I'm like,
they're digging. They're digging, and they can't find anything. So they need to give up. They need to give up.
It's what was life like for you? How many years did you spend in the pageant world? It's a pretty tough life.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I started doing pageants when I was 17, and then I did Miss USA when I was 21. So
yeah, I mean, and that's a pretty amazing thing. You become Miss California, and then you go on to the Miss USA, Miss Universe pageants, and it's a very competitive, very tough business. So from that point on your life, when you move forward after the controversy, tell me what happened. Because, a lot of times I have noticed that people that get involved in the public eye in a really big controversy like you did, and by the way, you just gave an honest answer.
I know.
You said,
I'm like, what is so controversial about it?
Yeah. I mean, all right, I'm a Christian. I have Christian beliefs. I believe in traditional marriage. Problem? Yeah. So
this just goes to show you how the left-wing media is. They want to silence you. They want to destroy you. They want to make you go away. If you have anything, they want to basically make a fool of you. And they tried to do that with me, but it didn't work. It didn't work. And the only reason, Sean, why I'm speaking out now, and I wouldn't have said anything, but this New York Times piece really upset me because I went out of my way to tell them I have nothing bad to say about Donald Trump. And I said, you can try to find an interview with someone else. Go to the other, contestants and ask them what they think. I wanted to stay out of it. But as soon as they wrote this piece, without even getting an interview from me and making it seem like I gave them an exclusive, they took a little tiny thing from my book they totally took it out of context. I mean, I was saying what goes on behind the scenes, and they lied and said it was backstage. It wasn't backstage. It was on stage, and he was meeting all the contestants. So what? He walked by and said, so what? He's the owner of the pageant. We were excited to meet him, and they totally took it out of context, and they just ran with it. And it just goes to show how dishonest they are. I mean, really. And so I just want to clear the record out there that I have nothing but amazing things to say about Donald Trump. He has helped so many women, and it's time they come out of the woodwork, and it's time they start speaking their mind and saying how, what such wonderful things that he's done for them. So many careers, so many opportunities. He helps so many women, and it's time we stand up for him.
I am actually really stunned to the level of passion you have and the degree of betrayal you feel because you're telling them this is not true, this is not true, this is not true. And then they had a pre-written story. Now, I did a little research and a little background on this guy that wrote this piece, and he's all over Twitter. He's not an objective reporter. He's all over Twitter trashing Donald Trump. They had already decided what the article was going to say, and it didn't matter what anybody was going to say that was going to contradict it because, they had already made up their mind. This guy was hardly objective in any way, and now the New York Times once again finds itself in a huge controversy. Newsbusters actually went out and they found the tweets of this guy, and it's pretty revealing because, yourself, I mean, it's a very powerful testimony, and all the other women.
If they would have done their due diligence and spoken the truth, just below what they quoted on page 68, I said that most of us respect Donald Trump, and he's an amazing businessman and leader. Why didn't they put that in the piece? Why didn't they put that in the piece, Sean? Why did they take it out of context and make it seem like we pageant beauty queens dislike Donald Trump and that we think he degrades women? That is ridiculous, and it's time that I speak up because I'm tired of this. It's been 7 years, but I'm tired of it. They're not going to put words in my mouth.
What do you say to people on the left that think that pageants are bad for women, and meanwhile you're describing a wonderful experience that you enjoyed thoroughly and enriched your life?
Yeah, I mean, there's good and bad. I mean, I went into the pageants, wanting an amazing career. I wanted to maybe do sports journalism. I was a huge athlete before. And so I thought, okay, this is my opportunity to really launch my career. There's so many women. After they do Miss USA, they have amazing careers. They go on to do amazing things. And so, I wanted to do that. And so when I was asked this question at the pageant, it kind of threw me off a little bit because I'm like, here I am, a woman that actually has a brain and, has opinions about things, but yet I'm not allowed to show my opinion. And if I do,
They expected you to give the well, I want world peace and the rehearsed answer that was phony, and you gave an honest answer. You know what I came to admire about you is your ability to stand up for yourself. You never wavered. You never backed down. You never cowered. You stood your ground. I know a lot of people turned on you, and I watched you go through that with about as much grace as I've seen anybody go through a firestorm like that. And I'm glad you spoke out, because I think you really have exposed for people here just how vicious and how corrupt the news media in this country is. And
I'm tired.
Anyway, we're gonna. Yeah, me too. Well, we'll see you on TV tonight. You're going to join us.
And
we look forward to having you.
They owe me an apology for that, because they took it out of context, and I don't appreciate them doing that.
I think they do owe you an apology, but don't hold your breath. You're not going to last long.
Yeah, I know.
Or you'll be holding it forever.
I'll be holding it forever. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Carrie Prejean. Thank you, Miss California. Wow. Now there's another woman, I'm told, that also has refuted what the New York Times printed. Apparently the Telegraph's Temple Taggart of Utah. She said, no, that's not true. Another one. The whole story is blown up. Paper of record? Yeah. When are they going to do the interviews with Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey and Paula Jones and Hillary's involvement in covering up and smearing and besmirching and slandering those women? All right, we have the governor of the great state of Texas.